I want to talk about overseas travel with children because the case that I was involved with today, the father applied without notice, not only for a parenting order, which was interim or in the meantime temporary, because he had not seen the child and the child was quite young, not quite turned 2 years old. He hadn't seen the baby for 3 or 4 weeks. However, my client saw a previous lawyer, and that lawyer told her not to wait until that they've had the family dispute mediation first, before arrangements were made for him to have contact. And because he waited so long, and the time delays in having those mediations set up, he was quite concerned because of the bonding period between children and parents is quite delicate and formative in those earlier years. So anyway, because of that advice that she received, she didn't give him contact, ignored the text messages and the phone calls and whatnot, so he ended up applying to court and getting an interim parenting order where he's allowed to have the child from 10 till 5 on Saturdays, overnight, providing his mother's the grandmother supervising the contact, can have her overnight. But the other thing that he applied for and was granted was an order preventing the child being removed from the country, because she, when they had an argument, decided to tell him and his mother, the grandmother, that she was going back overseas to the Philippines, and she wanted to go for a couple of months, and they weren't very happy about that. And the Philippines is not a signatory to the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention is a treaty. A treaty is a contract or agreement between two or more sovereign states, usually countries. And there's a number of countries that have signed the Hague Convention, and that's where countries agree to work together where a child has been taken out of their country, which is the usual place of abode, their domicile, and returned to that country. So if a parent decides to disappear overseas with the child without the other parent's permission, provided that you can institute Hague Convention proceedings and have the child returned, provided that the country that they've gone to is a signatory to the Hague Convention. So, if it's in Australia or the United Kingdom or Canada or the United States, but countries like Pakistan and India are not Hague Convention countries, and if you're not going to find a child amongst a billion other people in India, or the chances are extremely slim of doing so. So prevention is better than cure. If you plan on going overseas with your child, make sure that you get the other parent's permission in writing, because I've come across cases where one of the parents had said, yes, you can go and live in Australia. So she's got a job, signed up on a 12-month lease, and then he turned around and said, changed his mind, said, no, I don't want you to go. And there's nothing in writing or signed. Always try and get something in writing first. The similar principle also applies to if you're trying to move somewhere else, even within the country. So if you are living in Auckland and you want to move out of Auckland and go and live in like Wellington, you have to get the other parent's permission to do so. Now, where both of you, if you can't come to an agreement with the other parent, that's where the courts become involved, although you ought to try mediation first, because it's cheaper and faster and less stressful than litigation in the courts. But the civil courts are where one civilian has a dispute with another civilian, and the judge just has to make a decision.